What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Tip for Tuesday. I got Randy joining me today, and we're going to talk a little bit about that buy or that basically that selling side when you're working with other buyers. And one of the things that we want to talk about is when you are getting ready to sell a property, wholesale a property, work with a buyer, any of that stuff. You have to know how to price a property correctly, or at least close to being correctly. And that's a big part of it. Being able to price a property so somebody's going to be attracted to that price, somebody's going to want to offer on that price, and not overshooting that price and not just kind of throwing out some random numbers and things. And there is an art to that. So that's something that we want to talk about today and kind of give you some tips to help you out with that. So, Randy, let's start with you, man, on just like when it comes to pricing a property, you get a property in. I know a lot of times you don't even look to see what we even bought it for or what we got under contract for. You're really just looking at like, what can I sell this property for? What makes sense? And then
Yeah.
you kind of look at it the other way to kind of figure that out and stuff. But what are some tips you have when it comes to figuring out how to price that property to be competitive, get offers on it, and then also be able to make a little bit of money?
Yeah. Well, first, I mean, when it comes to pricing the property, you first have to have a good deal on your end. So you first have to negotiate a good deal with your seller to get that property under contract at the right price in order to, make a few dollars on the sale. So, once you have that and you're kind of working backwards, you're going to want to know how much is that property going to be worth when someone comes in and just puts everything into it to repair it for either rental or flip, depending on what the area is demanding. Majority of Indianapolis, you're probably going to be dealing with a rental or maybe a property that someone can burr out as well. But you're going to want to know what's the ARV and then work backwards from there. So just looking at the right comps, if you've got a 2-1, pull 2-1 comps with similar square footage. And then you're going to want to know basically a ballpark figure of how much is this property going to need in repairs. Get your ARV, take out the repairs, and most of the time your investors are going to want to be around that 75% ARV. So if you can get a property and your price is, we like to say like 50 to 60% of the ARV. You're probably going to be in the ballpark of having a deal that you can probably turn pretty quickly. So if you're marketing that at 50 to 60% ARV, that's going to give them enough room to land at that 75% ARV most of the time. And depending on the strategy, you might be able to get a little higher than that. And that's going to cause someone to come in pretty quickly and give you a cash offer, especially since you're wholesaling it. Like if you're assigning deals, you want to price it for a quick cash sale. We've got the luxury, I guess, if you want to call it that, of having different ways to sell. So, I mean, there's been times where if anyone's taken down a property and you want to own or finance it to someone, you can price those a little higher for someone that's going to come in and live there and just pay you a note, pay the note over time, and then that's kind of how you collect your profit. But majority of the time, we're talking about assigning deals. You're going to want to make sure that you just keep things, know the ARV, know how much it's going to cost, and make sure that the investor is going to be around that 75% all in.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is that kind of working backwards, like you pointed out, of like not just throwing out a number to see what you can get it under contract at, and then putting 20,000 on top of it, or 15,000, or 40, or whatever you're trying to do. But it's actually working backwards. It's like, okay, I think I can sell this property for this price is what people would go for it. Then I'm going to take the rehab off of there, whatever it may be. Figure all that out, and then figuring out, hey, what is my margin? What can I realistically make on this? Of like, oh, this is okay, I'm going to hit a single here. I'm going to try to make just, 10,000, 5,000, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Or, man, I got myself a really good deal here. This makes a lot of sense. I might be able to get 30,000 out of this or whatever it may be. So know your prices, know kind of where you're at and things like that. And don't try to just make the same thing on every deal because not every deal is the same.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. But I like what you said in there, just kind of working backwards and figuring that out. I think it's a big thing. So hopefully this helped you out with just being able to price property, get it under contract. So like it said, it's competitive. Like Randy mentioned, all those things of being able to get offers on it, know what it is, and then be able to make a little bit of money on the side. So that's what it's all about. That's the name of the game with wholesaling. Hopefully this tip helped you out. With that, we'll see you back next week for another Tip for Tuesday.